On a chilly November day in 1955, the music world took an unexpected turn. In a small studio in Memphis, a deal was struck that would change the course of rock and roll forever. Elvis Presley, a local sensation with a voice like no other, was about to leave the cozy confines of Sun Records for the vast stage of RCA Victor. This move was not just a career leap, it was a cultural earthquake. Elvis had always been comfortable with the familiar. Sun Records, with Sam Phillips at the helm, had nurtured his raw talent. But something in the air changed when Bob Parker, a shrewd promoter, stepped into the picture. Parker wasn't just any promoter, he was a master of the game, known for his ability to push artists into the mainstream. He saw something in Elvis that others might have missed, a potential that could shake the music industry to its core. At first, Elvis was hesitant. He loved the camaraderie at Sun, the way Phillips had helped him grow. But the facts laid out by Neil and Parker were hard to ignore. RCA offered not just fame but a fortune. A $5,000 bonus and a royalty rate that seemed like a dream came true. Elvis would produce 8 songs a year, a manageable workload for someone with a regional following. Yet, the decision didn't come easily. Elvis's father Vernon and his mother Gladys were deeply concerned. They saw Parker as a wolf in sheep's clothing, a man more interested in money than in preserving their son's unique talent. Gladys, in particular, was skeptical. She had always been Elvis's rock, his confidant. She feared losing him to the pressures of stardom, but Parker had a plan. He knew that to convince Vernon and Gladys, he needed to show them Parker's track record. He dispatched Hank Snow, a respected musician, to talk to them. Snow painted a picture of Parker as a shrewd businessman who had a history of success. Slowly, the doubts began to fade. The promise of financial security and the chance to reach a wider audience were hard to resist. On November 21, 1955, the deal was sealed. RCA executives, who had initially worried about taking a chance on a regional act from the South, were swayed by Parker's persuasive arguments. They bought Elvis's contract from Sun for $35,000, a king's ransom for the time. RCA got more than just Elvis's services, they got his entire catalog of recordings from Sun. For Elvis, the deal meant a new beginning. He received a hefty bonus and a royalty rate that promised long-term financial stability, but with this came expectations. RCA wanted results and fast. The pressure was on and Elvis felt it. He was no longer just a local hero, he was now a star in the making. The move to RCA wasn't just about money, though that was a big part of it. It was about breaking free from the regional bubble and reaching the mainstream. Elvis had always dreamed big. He wanted to be a movie star, to perform on television, to be recognized not just in Memphis but across the nation. Parker's plan aligned perfectly with Elvis's ambitions, but as the excitement grew, so did the concerns. Many wondered if Parker would strip Elvis of his authenticity. Would the commercial success taint the raw, honest sound that made Elvis special? Sam Phillips, Elvis's original mentor, shared these fears. He worried that Parker's focus on profit might overshadow Elvis's artistic growth. Despite these reservations, Elvis moved forward. He knew deep down that he had a bigger vision. His love for the spotlight, his desire to leave a mark on the world, pushed him toward this new path. For Elvis, the transition to RCA was not an end, but a means to an end, a way to fulfill his dreams of stardom. As Elvis prepared for his first RCA recording session, the world watched with bated breath. The stage was set for a musical revolution. Little did anyone know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would redefine rock and roll and change the face of popular music forever. Television became the key to launching Elvis Presley's stardom. This was something Parker, Elvis's manager, understood deeply. He realized that America had changed with the rise of TV, and other industries had to adapt too. TV wasn't just a new gadget, it was now a big part of everyday life for most families. By the late 1950s, nearly every home had a TV set. This change was driven by new technology, tough competition among TV makers and sellers, and people having more money to spend. TV brought everyone together, giving people from all walks of life a shared experience. It was like a big national family, watching the same shows together. With lots of money from ads, TV networks made programs that appealed to everyone. They used the same smart strategies they had used for radio to grab the attention of a wide audience. And with a vast network of stations reaching across the country, TV was perfect for any performer looking to reach a massive audience. Parker saw this potential and worked hard to get Elvis on TV. In late January, Elvis landed a spot on the Dorsey Brothers' variety show, Stage Show. The show, hosted by Jimmy and Tommy Dorsey, was not the most popular at the time, but it gave Elvis his first big break on national TV. Elvis would perform 4 times, earning $1,250 each time. If the show's producers liked him enough, he could perform more. While the Dorsey Show wasn't a ratings winner, it still offered Elvis a chance to reach many people. Parker hoped it would catch the eye of Hollywood bigwigs. Meanwhile, Parker and Elvis flew to New York to meet with RCA Records executives. This meeting was crucial. RCA would now be responsible for promoting Elvis, and they wanted to make sure they had made the right choice. During their time in New York, Ann Fulcino, RCA's publicity director, met Elvis. She was impressed by his focus and ambition. She shared her positive impression with Steve Scholes, RCA's key man in Nashville, but Scholes still had doubts. He needed to see some hits before he was convinced RCA had made a good investment. Around the same time, another of Elvis's songs, Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins, started climbing the charts. This success made Scholes even more unsure if RCA had picked the right artist. Scholes wasn't alone in his doubts. The music industry was changing fast, and the old ways of making hits were no longer enough. While some songs like those by the Maguire sisters and Dean Martin were still popular, new sounds were gaining ground. Perez Prado's Mambo Tunes and Tennessee Ernie Ford's folk remake, 16 Tons, were big hits. The movie Blackboard Jungle even pushed Bill Haley and the Comets' Rock Around the Clock to the top of the charts. This song, influenced by R&B, showed that there was a huge market for a new kind of music, especially among young people. Even though white artists like the Crew Cuts and Pat Boone had covers of rhythm and blues hits, sales of actual R&B records were soaring, particularly among white listeners. Artists like Fats Domino and Chuck Berry were making waves. Domino's Ain't That a Shame and Barry's Maybelline were huge, and Barry's Rock Around the Clock became a summer anthem, appealing to both teens and adults. Little Richard, with his energetic style, also made a big impact. The Platters, inspired by earlier groups like the Ink Spots, created a smooth doo-wop sound that crossed over well. Their hit, The Great Pretender, was a massive success, topping both pop and R&B charts. These changes in music were clear. New styles were outselling the traditional pop music that had dominated for years. This new music was tailored for teenagers, and DJs like Alan Freed in Cleveland were key in shaping what young people listened to. Freed helped popularize the term rock and roll, though it wasn't clear yet if this new sound would stick around. Despite some skepticism, the writing was on the wall. Rock and roll was here to stay. In early 1956, Elvis Presley's journey took a major turn when he recorded some songs at RCA's studio in Nashville. This was not just another recording session for him. It was a chance to make music that would be heard all over the country. Alongside familiar faces like Scotty Moore and Bill Black, new members joined the group. DJ Fontana joined on drums, adding energy to their sound. Floyd Kramer and Chet Atkins, experienced musicians, also joined the team. These additions made the band stronger, giving Elvis a fuller sound. One song they recorded, Heartbreak Hotel, was different from anything Elvis had done before. It was dark and mysterious, something unique. Though both Steve Scholes, the producer, and RCA officials in New York were worried it wouldn't be a hit, the song became a massive success when it was released. It shot up the charts and put Elvis on everyone's radar. However, the initial reaction from Scholes and RCA was not happy. They felt the recording didn't capture the special sound they had achieved at Sun Records with Sun Studio. To make sure they didn't miss out on a big hit, Scholes arranged another session in New York. Here, Elvis recorded more songs for his first album. These songs would give RCA more music to work with, just in case Heartbreak Hotel didn't work out. Elvis made his TV debut on January 28th on a show called Stage Show. It was not a huge crowd, but what it lacked in audience size, it made up for in energy. Elvis played 2 songs by Big Joe Turner, known for his lively R&B style. His wild movements and energetic performance surprised the audience. Though only the Memphis papers noticed it at first, this performance was a turning point for Elvis. It gave him confidence, and he started doing better in his recordings and live shows. As weeks went by, Heartbreak Hotel started getting played on the radio more and more. People wanted the record, and by mid-April it was at the very top of the charts. This success meant more TV shows wanted Elvis. His performances kept getting better, and he began to sing more songs, including his hit Blue Suede Shoes. His popularity was soaring, and TV shows were clamoring for him. Elvis was also very good at talking to the press. He was friendly and humble in interviews. This helped a lot because his manager, Parker, knew that to keep Elvis's success going, he needed to show a more wholesome side to the public. This image of Elvis as friendly and modest complemented the exciting image he projected on stage. Parker was impressed with how well Elvis handled himself with journalists. By May, Elvis and his family were thriving. They moved to a big house in an upscale neighborhood. It had a pool and everything they could wish for. Elvis even bought new cars for his parents. Life was very different now from just a few years ago when they were living in public housing. The family was happy, and Vernon, Elvis's father, was happy too. He managed their money now, something he was proud of after being unemployed for so long. Gladys took care of the house and the family, while also enjoying TV shows and making scrapbooks to remember Elvis's successes. Elvis was grateful, but also started to enjoy his newfound freedom and wealth. He bought lots of things for himself and his family, like fancy clothes and new cars. For the first time in a long while, the Presleys felt like they belonged in their new, fancy neighborhood. Even though some people might have been skeptical, they had the money to prove they belonged. In just a few short years, the Presleys went from living in public housing to owning a big house in a wealthy area. Their quick rise to success was incredible. They were no longer just working-class people, they were now part of the affluent community. While some neighbors might have been unfriendly, the Presleys didn't let that stop them. They had made it, and they were enjoying every moment of it.